Discover the incredible journey of a woman who found hidden love at a billionaire's wedding. Sarah stood in front of the mirror, fingers trembling as she adjusted the neckline of her borrowed dress. It was one of those moments that didn't feel real, a simple community nurse stepping into a world of glittering gowns and towering chandeliers. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and fluttering nerves. Tonight, she would attend a wedding hosted by a billionaire, an event where opulence danced through the air like the perfume of lilies. The invitation, embossed and elegant, had felt like an escape route from her everyday life of nursing patients and navigating Jake's spirited energy. Her son Jake was with her mother for the weekend, and Sarah knew the price of this chance was a temporary separation from her little joy. She held on to the hope that she might uncover something extraordinary tonight: love, adventure, or perhaps even a glimpse of a life she'd always dreamed of for them. She took a deep breath and stepped into the enchanting atmosphere of the venue, feeling like a fish out of water among the enchantingly dressed guests. Sarah felt the shimmering lights above wash over her, illuminating the wariness in her heart. She clutched the ends of her wrap, drawing it tighter as she slid past guests, each laugh and whisper carrying an air of sophistication so different from her own life. Then, she saw him, Mark, the groom's younger brother. Strikingly handsome, yet equally intimidating, he looked tired and restless. As they struck up a conversation over hors d'oeuvres, it was instant chemistry. His laughter felt like music, uplifting and contagious. Their shared smiles seemed to melt away the divide between their worlds. If only for a moment. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but just as the spark ignited, Sarah felt a cold wave of doubt crash down. She overheard a snide remark from a member of Mark's family, another guest dismissively questioning her presence among the elite. It cut through her like glass. What right did she have to feel this connection, to dream of a world where Mark could be a part of her life? Her cheeks flushed. Was she just a charity case, an oddity stuck in their perfect fairy tale? Mark, sensing her tension, reached out to hold her hand, but the familiar warmth of their earlier connection began to wane. The laughter surrounding them turned hollow, a stark reminder of the differences that loomed between them. As Sarah clutched her heart, a part of her clung to the hope that their worlds didn't have to be so different. Could love transcend the shades of privilege and societal expectation? As they both noticed the rising tension around them, she stood staring into the depths of uncertainty, wishing she could turn back to her familiar, unpretentious world. But tonight, she couldn't walk away. With every ounce of courage, Sarah found herself at a crossroads. Would she fight for this unexpected chance at love, or would the shadows of doubt pull her back into the safety of her modest reality? The weight of her choice lingered heavily in the air, and the question hung between them as they gazed into each other's eyes, yearning for a path forward, uncertain if they could brave whatever came next. Mark's hand enveloped Sarah's, warm and reassuring, but the flicker of hesitation in her heart wouldn't subside. The festive atmosphere felt stifling, each laugh and every clink of glasses pressing down on her like a weight. It was hard to reconcile the pull she felt towards Mark with the whispers of doubt lingering in her mind. "Sarah," Mark said softly, his eyes searching hers. "Are you all right? You seem distant." His concern tugged at her. She didn't want to feel distant. Not from him, not from this moment. This connection was too precious to let it slip away, but the doubt crept in again. This feels like a dream," she admitted, glancing around at the glimmering chandeliers and elegant guests. "Am I really here?" Mark shook his head gently, a smile creeping onto his face that illuminated his features. "You're here, and you belong here just as much as anyone else." His words was a balm to her insecurity, yet she felt unworthy of them. A part of her longed to go back where it was safe, back to her world where every day was a new challenge embraced. But another part, a deep, wild part, yearned for this whirlwind of emotion, this thrill that was like nothing she had ever known. As they stood there, Sarah felt the music shift to a more upbeat tempo. Couples began to twirl and sway, laughter spilling like champagne. Mark's eyes twinkled, and before she could think twice, he tugged gently at her hand. "Come on, let us dance." His confidence pulled her into motion, and before long, she found herself swaying with him. The music enveloped them, as vibrant as the spark in their eyes. She could feel his strength in every step, the way he guided her, just like he was guiding her into this new world. Her heart raced not just from the rhythm, but from the joy blossoming within her. Was this what living felt like? Sarah couldn't remember the last time she smiled so freely. Mark spun her, and laughter bubbled up, echoing her heart's earlier doubts, now fading with every turn, but as the dance continued, those whispers returned, mingling with the enchanting atmosphere. The shadows of judgment loomed, and she caught sight of a few guests stealing glances at them, judging, perhaps. A chill washed over her. She stepped back instinctively, breaking the moment. "Did I do something wrong?" Mark asked, concern etched on his features. "No." Her voice came out more forceful than intended. "I just need a moment." Stepping to the side, away from the throng of revelers, Sarah leaned against a shimmering wall, willing her heart to settle. She could feel Mark's eyes on her, a blend of worry and patience. What was she afraid of? This was a chance one she wanted. Yet the fear of society's cruel expectations threatened to swallow her whole. Could she truly step into the light with him? Or was she destined to fade back into the shadows of her life, a single mother with nothing to offer, a world of glitz? Mark approached, his presence gentle but unwavering. "Hey, it's okay. You don't have to rush back in there if you don't want to." Through the chaos, his voice was like an anchor. "I mean it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, we can go somewhere quieter, just us." The sincerity in his offer wrapped around her, igniting a flicker of hope. Maybe this was her moment to decide, could she step forward into a life defined by her own rules, or retreat into the safety of her old ways? Heart pounding, she locked eyes with him. The question hung in the air, heavy with promise, and in that stillness, she realized something profound. What if love wasn't defined by status or wealth, but by moments like this? "Let us go somewhere quieter," she finally said, surprising herself with her own courage, but as they turned to leave the spectacle behind, she felt the weight of the judgmental gazes pulling at her. Would they follow? Would the wealthy world let her in, or would they keep her at arm's length? The night stretched ahead, full of uncertainty but tantalizing possibility. And in that very moment, Sarah knew the true adventure was just beginning. The cool air outside wrapped around Sarah like a gentle embrace as they stepped onto the terrace, far removed from the sparkle and laughter inside. The night sky stretched out high above them, each star blinking as if offering a silent reassurance. She inhaled deeply, the fresh air brushing away the last remnants of self-doubt. Mark stood next to her, his presence steady, a warm glow against the chill. "Better?" he asked, glancing sideways to gauge her reaction. "Yes," Sarah breathed, feeling lighter already. The chaos and expectation of the party melted away, and for the first time that night, she could hear herself think. "Good. I don't want you feeling anything but what you deserve," he replied, his gaze fixed on her with an intensity that ignited her heart. She turned to him, blinking against the sudden rush of emotions. "What do I deserve?" she asked, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. Did she even know the answer to that? Mark took a step closer, their shoulders nearly touching. "Joy. Freedom. Love," he said, the sincerity of his words ringing true. He reached out hesitantly, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. "No matter where you come from, you matter. You're not defined by what others think." His words struck deeper than she expected, chipping away at those invisible barriers she had built. Sarah felt a flutter of hope, but also an undeniable fear. What if he was wrong? What if she couldn't be what he envisioned? "Mark, it's just," she started, her voice shaky, that he shook his head gently. "I know. I see it. It's scary stepping into new things. But I promise, I'm right here. Whatever you choose, I'm here with you." Something shifted within her. In that moment, standing under the vast night sky, it felt like a battle against her insecurities was being waged, and Mark was on her side. An unexpected laugh broke through, drawing her attention back to the party, a slew of guests filtering onto the terrace. Their eyes lit with curiosity, unabashed interest hanging in the air. It was the newspapers and their fleeting words flashing in her mind: the single mother, the outsider. She'd worked so hard to shield herself and Leo from scrutiny. Could she breathe in this new life without the weight of judgment? Feeling overwhelmed again, Sarah turned back to Mark, her heart racing. Do you really mean what you said? The vulnerability of her question hung in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Absolutely. I don't care about anyone else. It's you I want to know, the real you, he said earnestly, cupping her face in his hands. His touch sent heat racing through her body, flooding her with emotions she had suppressed for far too long. But despite the warmth, the worry still lingered, an insidious whisper that gnawed at her. What if they weren't from the same world? Would he tire of her? Just then, a soft voice piped up from the group approaching. Hey, Mark. We thought you were lost. One of the guests smiled, oblivious to the charged moment hanging between Sarah and Mark. Mark stepped back, his hand reluctantly leaving her cheek, and Sarah felt exposed as their bubble burst. She blended into the background, a shadow among well-heeled silhouettes, her heart still racing but now haunted by a new fear, the fear of being revealed. Mark's attention shifted back to the guests, laughter bubbling as he engaged them, but Sarah felt like she was slipping away, lost in a world that wasn't hers. As moments passed, she realized she had a choice to make, to step back into the crowd or stay hidden away under the stars with the man who made her heart sing. Sarah. Mark called, pulling her from her thoughts. His eyes found hers, filled with warmth and a hint of mischief. Join us. I could use some backup. The weight of the decision lay thick in the air. The world of glitz and glamour juxtaposed against the life of authenticity she craved. She could feel the pull of the party, the laughter beckoning her, but also the promise of something deeper with Mark. With her heart thrumming in her chest, she stood at the crossroads of her new adventure, one filled with uncertainty yet warmth. Could she actually begin to weave her story into his? Okay, she finally said, stepping forward, but just as she did, hesitation flickered within her. Would she find acceptance, or would the sharp stares of the crowd pierce through her newfound courage? The night, glimmering with possibility, waited for her next move. As Sarah stepped toward Mark, her heart raced, each step feeling like a leap into the unknown. The chatter and laughter from the party washed over her like a tidal wave, teasing and taunting her insecurities. She caught sight of familiar faces, an old colleague and a couple of friends from her past life, people she had tried to keep at arm's length. Would they recognize her? Would they judge her? Mark's hand waved exuberantly as he drew her closer to the crowd. Everyone, this is Sarah. His voice rang out like a bell, cutting through the mingling conversations. The guests turned, eyes bright with curiosity, some with open smiles while others wore masks of polite intrigue. The moment felt surreal. Sarah felt like a star on stage, spotlighted yet painfully aware of her flaws. She forced a smile, practicing the face she wanted to show, confident, light-hearted, untouchable by the whispers she imagined. Where do you know Mark from? One of the guests asked, tilting her head in inquiry. Oh, we met through friends, Sarah stammered, the fib feeling clumsy on her tongue. She noticed Mark stiffening next to her. Was he protecting her? Or was he feeling the strain of being pulled into a world he often showcased but never truly embraced? Well, it's lovely to finally meet you. The guest continued, her tone bright but lacking warmth. Thanks, Sarah replied, her voice nearly lost in the sea of laughter that began to bubble around her again. She felt the swirling anxiety tighten in her chest, an uninvited guest at the party. Mark shot her an encouraging look, and for a second, that warmth enveloped her once more. She took a deep breath, allowing herself to settle into the moment. The terrace shimmered under strings of fairy lights, illuminating smiling faces, drinks clinking, and plates filled with delightful canapés. As laughter filled the air, she caught glimpses of Mark's carefree charm, how he effortlessly navigated conversations, eliciting laughter and banter. Watching him was like watching someone dance, elegant, content, wholly in his element. That made her feel small against his brightness, yet, despite the envelopment in the crowd, a part of her still stood on the edge, both intrigued and terrified. What if she couldn't keep up with this world? What if her past unspooled in front of these strangers, confirming every fear she harbored? Here, try this. Mark said suddenly, handing her a glass of something sparkly. She lifted it, the effervescence reflecting light as she caught a glimpse of herself, a mix of hope and trepidation. Cheers. Mark grinned, raising his glass. Cheers, she echoed, clinking her glass against his. It felt like a solid moment, grounding her, affirming her presence. As the night went on, Sarah found herself becoming absorbed in the rhythm of laughter and chatter. It felt less daunting the more she let herself engage. She could joke about the over-the-top decorations and join in on light-hearted stories being exchanged, finding laughter that pierced through her apprehensions, but then, a piercing laugh caught her attention, harsh and judgmental. "Is that the single mother from the news?" came a voice from somewhere beyond, masked under the cloak of laughter but carrying a weight heavier than anyone realized. Her heart sank. Mark noticed too, his brows furrowed in concern as he searched for her eyes. The laughter faded for her, and in an instant, she felt exposed again, the spotlight shifting to a dimmer, harsher glare. "Let us get some air," Mark said, his voice a warm, gentle command as he grabbed her hand, pulling her away from the crowd, away from the sharp edges of judgment. Her pulse quickened as they made their way back to the terrace, but this time, it felt different. She was in motion, with Mark beside her, not simply a spectator to an invisible frame around her story. "Hey, they don't know you. Just ignore them," he said softly, his grip firm but comforting. "But what if I can't?" she whispered, feeling raw and vulnerable. Mark turned to her, worry etching into his features, yet there was determination in his gaze. "You can. And I'm right here." Her breath caught. Maybe she could, for once, take a step towards the life she longed for. But right then, the weight of truth loomed large. "Does that mean you'll be okay with who I am?" she asked, catching the flicker in his eyes. He paused, and the silence stretched, heavy with unspoken promises and questions that lingered between them. In that moment, standing on the edge of revelation, she felt the world shift around her. Would she dare to reveal her true self, amidst the shadows of her past and the brilliance of potential love? The night, filled with uncertainty, beckoned as she waited for his answer, her heart pounding with both dread and anticipation. Mark's eyes held hers, an endless depth swirling beneath the surface. Time seemed to freeze, and the party faded away. It was just the two of them, engulfed in a cocoon of emotions, ready for a leap into vulnerability. "Sarah," he finally said, his voice low, almost reverent. "I want to know all of you. Every part, your past, your fears, everything. I won't judge you. In fact, I admire your strength." Her heart fluttered at the unexpected praise. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, a mix of laughter and chatter wafted through the air, grounding her in the reality that danced just beyond their bubble. She took a step back, the fear rushing back, tangling with the sweetness of his promise. "Admire? Me?" she said, the skepticism escaping her lips before she could rein it in. "You don't know what I've been through." "I want to," he pressed, stepping closer until only a sliver of space remained between them. "I care about you, Sarah. What you've faced, how you've grown, those things shape who you are. And I see you." As he spoke, a fresh wave of confidence washed over her. She wanted to believe him. To shed the layers of doubt and reveal the woman she had fought so hard to become. Inspiration sparked in her chest, but the old insecurities lurked like shadows. Mark's fingers brushed against her hand, warm and inviting. "Let us take a step back from all of this. Just you and me." He motioned toward a quieter corner of the terrace, bathed in moonlight and wrapped in the faint scent of gardenias. They found a cozy alcove away from the horde of guests, where the chatter faded to a soft murmur. As she inhaled the cool night air, it felt lighter here, like the weight of judgment slipped away along with the chaos behind them. Sarah studied Mark, the way he radiated assurance and authenticity, and a tenderness swelled within her. Thank you for this, she whispered, vulnerability slipping in. I've been afraid to be seen. To be known. Fear can be paralyzing, he replied, tilting his head thoughtfully. But escaping it means breaking through to the other side, right? You're not alone in this. The courage she always thought was out of reach began to settle in. Mark's determination stirred something deep inside her, and she wanted to share the truth, to expose the rawness she so carefully concealed. It would be tough, but perhaps lying beneath was a seed of strength longing to sprout. Okay, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I'll share who I am. Just promise me you won't walk away. A shadow of uncertainty flickered across his features. I promise. But first, let us handle this together. As his hand entwined with hers, warmth surged between them. Here was a man willing to face whatever storm lay ahead. Each heartbeat echoed the truth this connection went beyond the surface. And just as she felt the stirrings of hope within her, the memories flooded back. Just so you know, she started, hesitantly. I'm a single mother. I've struggled to get back on my feet after everything that happened. It wasn't just a headline, it was my life. Mark's gaze locked onto hers, unwavering. That makes you resilient, not weak. I respect that. But before she could continue, a loud burst of laughter erupted from the party. It shattered the moment, pulling her back, and her heart sank once more. It was just a reminder that she was still vulnerable to outside opinions. Let us not let them distract us, Mark said, pushing a stray hair behind her ear. What matters is right here, right now. Right, she murmured. Could she trust this spark? But just as she began to let her guard down, the atmosphere shifted again. A familiar voice broke through the laughter. There she is. The single mother. How thrilling to see you here. It was the same voice that had pierced her heart earlier, dripping with condescension. Sarah's breath hitched, facing the reality of her fears manifesting into living color. Mark's jaw tightened. Ignore them, Sarah. They don't define you. You define you. She looked at him, a mix of admiration and desperation in her eyes. Could she walk through this fire together, or was the past too heavy to carry? As another wave of laughter threatened to drown her confidence, Sarah realized she stood at a crossroads, the weight of her truth ready to break through. Would she let the past haunt her, or could she wield her story as her greatest strength? The night crackled with tension, a choice hanging in the air, waiting for her to make a stand. The laughter faded slightly, but the sting of the words lingered like an unyielding echo in Sarah's mind. Her chest tightened, and for a moment, she felt small again, just like before she had fought to reclaim her life. This was the moment where she could either crumble under the weight of those jabs or rise up and claim her narrative. Mark's grip on her hand tightened just enough to pull her attention back. She could see the resolve in his eyes, an unwavering promise that he wouldn't let her falter. For the first time in ages, she didn't feel alone. Deep breaths, he said softly, his thumb gently stroking her knuckles. They're just words. You have power over how they affect you. She nodded, her throat dry. Power is easy to claim when you're not feeling judged. It felt odd to say it out loud, yet the truth hung heavy in the air between them. Maybe. But whether it's easy or not, it's yours to take, he countered, his voice steady. You survived what others couldn't see. The warmth of his words flooded her with new energy. The past weighed her down like shackles, yet there was something undeniably freeing in the idea that she could rewrite what it meant to be a single mother. Her journey had not been devoid of color, it had been painted with struggle, lessons, and a strength she was just beginning to recognize. Okay, she exhaled slowly, mustering the courage deep within. I lost everything when my husband walked away. It wasn't just about him leaving, it was about the life I had built crumbling in an instant. I felt like I didn't even know who I was anymore. As the confessions spilled from her lips, she realized the narrative had never solely belonged to her ex-husband. Perhaps she had been the author of her own experience all along, a thought that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Mark's eyes softened with empathy. That must have been awful, Sarah. But here you are, standing strong despite it all. That's not weak, that's fierce. Fierce. The word struck a chord deep within her. Could she be fierce? Could she embrace that power? Just as she began to embrace this new realization, another voice cut through the air, a snide cackle from the crowd. Oh, look! The single mother gets emotional again. A knot twisted in her stomach, but Mark squeezed her hand tighter. This is your moment. Don't let them dim your truth. Shine bright, Sarah. Drawing on the warmth of his presence, she took a deep breath. This was it. She wouldn't let the derision drown her out. You may think you know me, but every single day I rise for my child. I fight for our future. That makes me stronger than you'll ever know. The crowd around the terrace fell silent momentarily, their laughter cut short by the unexpected boldness in her voice. Mark's proud smile illuminated her heart, sparking a sense of victory that surprised her. As the tension in the air shifted, uncertainty still lurked in its corners. Would they accept her newfound strength? Would she be able to stand her ground despite the immediate backlash? The questions raced through her mind, igniting both fear and hope. Mark leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. You're doing it, Sarah. You're breaking free. But as her heart soared on the wings of newfound courage, she couldn't shake the feeling that the night had more in store for her. What other shadows would she need to face? Just as Sarah was about to reclaim her story, a familiar face pushed through the throng, a figure from her past she had hoped never to see again. Would this reunion shatter her resolve, or provide an unexpected turn in her journey? The clock seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see how she'd respond to yet another challenge. Sarah's heart raced as she scanned the crowd, her mind struggling to piece together the face that haunted her thoughts. Time slowed, every fleeting moment stretching into an eternity. She noticed the way Mark shifted, his expression morphing from support to concern as he recognized the tension tightening around her. The figure, a tall man with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, stepped forward. It was Nathan, her ex-husband. Her breath caught in her throat, a mix of surprise and dread washing over her. The man who had once filled her life with joy now felt like a specter from her past, ready to uproot everything she had fought to rebuild. Sarah, he said, voice smooth yet layered with an awkwardness she hadn't expected. I didn't know you'd be here. Mark's hold on her hand tightened protectively, grounding her in the reality of the moment. Sarah forced herself to stand tall, the memories of their shared life flooding back, old laughter, late-night talks, and the piercing silence that followed his departure. Neither did I, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. What are you doing here? Nathan's eyes darted to Mark, a calculating gaze that made Sarah bristle. Just came to check in on friends. You know how it is. His smile felt hollow, a performative gesture meant to mask the tension. A flicker of heat ignited in Sarah's chest. No, I don't know how it is, not anymore. You left all of that behind. The crowd danced around them, the energy swirling above as if unaware of the thunder brewing in this corner of the terrace. They were in their own bubble, a fragile ecosystem of past grievances and broken trust. Listen, I didn't mean for things to end the way they did. The vulnerability in Nathan's voice tugged at something deep within her, a reminder of the man she once loved. I just want to talk, Sarah. Mark's voice was firm. Now's not a good time. His tone was calm, yet the intensity in his eyes suggested he wouldn't let Nathan push her any further, but Sarah felt the pull of curiosity and fear. What did Nathan want after all this time? Did he care, or was he here to stir the ashes of her past? I'm not sure there's anything to talk about, Nathan. You made your choice. He stepped closer, the crowd parting like clouds for a hint of sunlight. I was wrong, Sarah, I know that now. His voice came out almost pleading. Can we at least have a moment alone? Inside, she felt a battle waging. The anger she had carried and the girl who missed the fantasy of their life together. But another, stronger realization glimmered. She didn't owe him anything. She had built a life without him, one fueled by her own resilience and the newfound loyalty of Mark at her side. Give me one good reason, she challenged, feeling her pulse quicken. He hesitated, then spoke softly, because I never stopped caring about you. I was scared of being a father. The weight of his words hung in the air, almost stifling her breath. Her heart thudded loudly in her chest, lost between vulnerability and strength. Would she let his insecurities shift her hard-earned ground? Mark squeezed her hand once more, a grounding figure in the chaos. She glanced at him, searching for reassurance. His gaze was unwavering, filled with a resolve that bolstered her own. Your choice, Mark whispered, reminding her of the power she possessed now. Taking a deep breath, Sarah felt her heart steadying. She was not that scared girl anymore. I can't go backwards. I hope you find your peace, Nathan. But it's not my story anymore. The look on Nathan's face stung, a mixture of regret and disbelief. He took a step back, stunned, and Sarah braced herself for the fallout of her declaration. As silence fell once more, it felt as though the world held its breath around her. What would Nathan do next? Would he accept her decision, or would he throw another wrench into her carefully structured new life? And just as the tension began to dissipate, another figure emerged from the shadows, eyes locking onto Sarah with a curiosity that sent shivers down her spine. What new test awaited her now? The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with striking red hair cascading over her shoulders, her green eyes glinting with mischief and curiosity. Sarah felt a chill travel down her spine as she recognized her. It was Clara, Nathan's sister, someone who had always been ready to stir the pot. Sarah. Fancy seeing you here, Clara exclaimed, feigning surprise but lacking any real sincerity. Her gaze flicked between Sarah and Nathan, a prying glimmer in her eyes. Clara. Sarah's voice was flat, recognizing the undercurrent of trouble that moved behind Clara's cheerful facade. What do you want? Oh, just keeping tabs on the family, you know. It's hard to ignore that your past is trying to reconnect. Clara leaned in closer, a smirk playing on her lips. And Nathan seems quite adamant. Sarah's heart raced anew, not just from confronting Nathan but now from Clara's presence. This isn't a reunion for you to orchestrate, she said, feeling Mark's grip tighten on her hand. He stood close, a silent shield as tensions swirled around them. Clara opened her mouth to reply, but before she could, Nathan intervened. Clara, it's not what you think. This isn't the time. Oh, really? It sure looks like you're trying to win her back, she shot back, narrowing her eyes. There was something almost delighted about the chaos unfolding before her. Enough, Sarah interjected, feeling like she was stuck in a reality show episode. The warmth and connection she'd felt with Mark shimmered just below the surface, and she didn't want to lose it now to this circus. I stand by my decision, and I don't need either of you to validate it. Mark looked impressed, pride lighting up his eyes. Clara's smirk faded slightly, unwilling to lose her edge but clearly not expecting Sarah to stand firm. What's it going to take for you to understand that you can't keep running away from your past? Clara shot back, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. It simmered with the implicit threat of digging deeper into their shared history. Sarah felt the moment deepen with a bitter complexity, the shadows of old wounds creeping back in. Running away? This is my life now. I'm moving forward, she asserted, feeling the strength of those words flow through her. Nathan had his demons, and she wouldn't let them haunt her any longer. A flash of anger crossed Nathan's face, but he quickly masked it, trying to regain control. I'm not here to disrupt your life, Sarah. Then why are you? Sarah interrupted, her voice trembling with raw emotion. You show up out of the blue, acting like everything is fine, but it's not. You left me, Nathan. You hurt me. And I want to go back to being that person you left behind. The crowd around them buzzed softly, aware of the charged atmosphere, spectators caught up in this unexpected drama. Clara rolled her eyes, throwing up her hands as if she were tired of the whole ordeal. This is getting boring. Sarah, it's clear you don't want this conversation, but be careful. The past has a way of creeping back in when you least expect it. As Clara sauntered off, Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. But with it came a new emotion, a pang of uncertainty. Could she truly keep her past from haunting her? Nathan sighed, his features softening, and for a moment, he looked vulnerable. I never wanted to hurt you. Then you shouldn't have left, Sarah replied, her voice barely a whisper. The air thickened with unspoken words, the unlikeliest of bonds unraveling in front of her as the night crept on. Mark's hand was still holding hers, offering comfort. But as they continued to absorb this surreal scene, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the night was far from over. Just then, she spotted yet another familiar face glancing their way, one that sent her heart racing with dread and excitement. Was the universe truly throwing her into a storm of past connections, or was this a chance for a new beginning? Sarah's heart pounded as she recognized the figure approaching them. It was Jake, her ex-boyfriend. His tall frame and familiar smile made her stomach twist in ways she didn't expect. The last time they parted, it hadn't been pretty. Sarah. Wow, what a surprise. Jake called out, his eyes scanning her face. He looked genuinely pleased to see her, but there was a flicker of confusion when he noticed Nathan standing close beside her, fingers intertwined with Mark's. Jake, she managed, forcing a smile even as a knot formed in her throat. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same. He chuckled lightly, though Sarah could sense the tension underlying his words. Is this a reunion, or are you here to stir up old ghosts? Before she could answer, Nathan stepped forward, an edge in his voice. This is none of your business, Jake. Jake's expression shifted, and for a fleeting moment, it looked like anger mixed with protectiveness. I believe Sarah can speak for herself, he replied, his gaze steady on Nathan, clearly weighing the situation. Wow, are we all just going to dive into the drama? Mark asked sarcastically, shifting his stance between the two men. It was almost amusing how protective he was becoming. You don't know the half of it, Clara chimed in from the edge of the crowd, her voice dripping with amusement. Just wait until all the pieces start falling into place. Clara, enough. Sarah snapped, her patience running thin. She turned back to Jake, desperate to cut through the tension. What do you want, really? Jake's brow furrowed, contemplating. I came to support a friend, but seeing you here I didn't expect this. He gestured to Nathan and Mark. And I didn't picture your reunion to involve so many players. She opened her mouth to reply, but the weight of Nathan's presence held her back. The truth was, she didn't know what she wanted either. Sarah, Nathan said quietly, breaking the silence, can we just talk? I know this is a lot. I never wanted this night to turn into a battleground. It's not just you who's drawn in. There's so much more than what you see. You deserve to know the truth, Jake added, his voice full of concern. We all deserve clarity, before we get lost in old ghosts. Sarah looked between the two men, Jake, full of hope and renewal, and Nathan, the embodiment of her painful past. She felt the blood rushing in her ears. The emotions were too overwhelming. Clarity, right? She almost laughed at the irony as she swallowed hard. But what if knowing the truth just complicates things more? I want to help you, Sarah, Nathan said, taking a step closer, his face a mix of regret and determination. I want to make things right. And what if I don't want you to? She challenged, her voice trembling. What if I want to forge my own path without ghosts haunting me? The crowd seemed to dim, the noise muffled, the weight of her words hanging thick in the air. This was a pivotal moment. She felt the pull of the past call her name, yet the promise of a fresh start beckoned from the future. Would confronting these tangled emotions set her free or drag her down? As the intensity of the moment consumed her, she took a deep breath, feeling Mark's reassuring grip. Maybe it's time we all face the truth, she finally said, looking between Nathan and Jake, but where do we start? The tension snapped, leaving them dangling at the edge of an uncertain journey. The next adventure of this evening began with a leap into uncharted waters. Would they discover all that lay beneath the surface, or would it prove too difficult to navigate? The moon hung high in the night sky, casting a soft glow over the terrace where Sarah stood, sandwiched between old memories and potential new beginnings. The air buzzed with the thrill of what could unfold, a moment wrapped tightly with uncertainty, yet tinged with the aroma of hope. Mark lingered close, his hands still intertwined with hers, grounding her in a sea of emotional chaos. "Honestly, I'm surprised you came back," Jake said, his eyes sparkling with familiarity and apprehension. "I never thought we'd end up at the same event again." "It's complicated," Sarah replied, glancing at Nathan, who stood quietly beside her, an array of emotions playing across his face. "But I think we need to talk. To address everything past, present, and future." Nathan shifted, his expression softening. "I get that. I owe you that much after everything. But I need you to understand." Before he could finish, Sarah raised a hand, feeling her resolve intensify. "I need to understand too, Nathan. Not just what happened, but who I am now." A flicker of awareness sparked in Jake's eyes before he chimed in, "We're all here for you, Sarah. You've taken the hard road, and this is your moment to reclaim your story." "Exactly," Mark added quietly, shooting her a look that whispered confidence. "Whatever you want to share, we're here. Together." The warmth of their support opened a door she thought long closed. She took a deep breath, feeling a swell of strength waterfall through her body. "Then let us begin." The words flowed out like a river breaking free from its dam. She pulled back the layers of her heart, the pain of her husband's abandonment, the struggle to raise Jake as a single mother, the growth she fought to achieve. "I lost myself when he left. I felt like I could never show my true self to anyone again, like I was a reflection of their judgments." As she spoke, she noticed how Nathan's shoulders seemed to sag. "I never meant for you to feel alone. I was scared when I made my choice, scared about being a father, and I hurt you. There's so much you didn't see," she countered gently but firmly, her gaze unwavering. "But no matter the wounds, I learned how to navigate this world. I learned how to love my son fully and fiercely." Tension hung in the air, then Nathan nodded slowly. "I see that. I'm proud of you, Sarah. But I regret not being there." "And you can't just rewrite the past with a single statement," Sarah replied. "This is more than an apology. It's about showing up, proving you've changed." With each revelation, the connection between her and Mark deepened, the weight of their own budding romance threading itself through her transparency. Nathan shifted back, as if recognizing the change in dynamics. "Time has a funny way of revealing truths," Jake said, his voice steady. "But we can't let the past dictate the future. It can't become the script our lives follow." "That's right," Mark echoed, squeezing her hand. "Everyone deserves a chance to grow. Everyone deserves a future filled with dreams." A sense of unity developed between them, a collective understanding that freed Sarah from the chains of doubt. It wasn't just about her journey anymore, it was a dance of intertwined lives. As the moonlight bathed them, Sarah felt an unexpected lightness, a flicker of liberation shining within her heart. She faced Nathan again. "I won't be defined by the shadows you left. I will be known for my resilience. And I'm grateful for the lessons they taught me." He studied her, and this time, acceptance painted his features. "Then let us leave it at that. I won't intrude on your new life. Just know that my door is always open if you want to talk." With her heart racing, Sarah nodded. Closure washed over her like soothing rain. The past was a part of her, but it wouldn't dictate her future. There was more to her story. "Sarah," Mark said softly as the crowd faded into the background, "what do you want to do now?" A smile danced on her lips as she realized the path ahead sparkled with possibility. "I want to live life, unapologetically. I want to embrace every moment and continue building a world. That includes my son, my growth, and us." "Yes." Jake broke into a smile, nodding vigorously. "That's the spirit. Let us celebrate the new journey." Mark exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious, propelling them back toward the crowd. As laughter and music swirled around them, Sarah finally felt whole. This was the moment, the beginning of a new chapter. A thrill raced through her. She vowed to chase her dreams, to walk forward without the weight of judgment or fear, but with a fiery spirit and joyous spirit. Surrounded by Mark and her friends, she felt invincible. "Live your truth. Jake cheered, and Sarah raised her glass to him, to Nathan, and to the luminous future ahead. And just like that, Sarah stepped into her new life, a radiant smile spreading across her face. Now, it's your turn to join this incredible journey. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to fuel the algorithm and make a difference. Comment below and let us know how you felt about Sarah's transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this amazing journey. Be part of this community that embraces growth and resilience.